Studying on this, I would say, a session of wheat and tares harvest, because a lot of people are under the gross misunderstanding that the church has to go through a tribulational period. When let me tell you what the mistake that you're making when you talk like that. It's a blasphemy type statement to say that there is no harvest, there is no catch up, snatching away, caught up, because it spits in the face of the finished work at the cross. That's the reason why Christ came down here. It's the reason why God gave his only begotten son, so that we would not have to go. And the Bible, and that's the thing, man, I can never get tired of talking about the word. But even though the subjects are tiring, you can never get tired of talking about the word. It's just the subject matter and people are tiring because they're taking something that is easy as 2 + 2, and y'all want to turn this into trigonometry and geometry and algebra. It's not that complicated, folks. He came down here, ministered, told everybody what the difference was between the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan. He says, I'm coming to give you everlasting life. They still didn't believe. They threw stones at him. These supposed to be the church folks in his day. Saying, well, we got the church folks, air quotes, in our day. Don't want to believe nothing but what man tell them. Man dressed up as God tell them. Here you have the word telling you verbatim, even Jesus telling you, get it right, because I'm coming back to take the harvest. But people don't want to believe that. It just blows my mind why people are stuck on devastation and doom. What kind of a God do you think you serve that he would do that to you? Then you a liar, and you calling God a liar. You calling your whole belief system a lie, because you got drunk on some dude, some female's crooked, twisted intuition of the love of God. Like God is a wife beater. That's what y'all think. He's a wife beater. God up there in heaven, walking around with a tank top on, slapping folks. Psh, psh. I mean, he says, I suffer none of y'all to perish. But the way y'all got God, y'all got him as some terrible dude with a cigarette hanging out his mouth and a tank top on, spaghetti stains all on his shirt, and he beating his wife. That ain't nowhere near God, but that's the way y'all want God to seem, because if you think we got to go through it, when the Bible doesn't say that, only people that's going through it are the ones that ain't living right. So something must be down on the inside of you telling you that you ain't right and you ain't going. So you're going to spread that mayonnaise across the whole piece of bread and think everybody going to eat that. We not eating that. No, we not eating it. I'm going to tell you the difference. This is the whole point of the series of harvest, tares and wheat. And people think, and then you got another twisted crowd out there. The harvest is at the end of the world. At the end of the world. You're not even going to make it to the end of the world. Do y'all understand? The first 6 seals, when they are opened, they are not opened. There's millions of people daily will be dying. When you look at everything that's going to pop off when them first 6 are open, in the first 6 months, millions are going to be dead due to war, civil war, and crust displacement, because the earth is changing. Jesus said it was going to change. Scientists are backing it up right now. In other words, the window is getting small for you to get out and get to safety during this grace period. Tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes going to take, and I said before, I believe spiritually all of them going to erupt at the same time when we get up out of here. That is the thing that makes me think about that doomsday map, and how a Christian came up with that map back in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, and he said God gave him that vision. It's been reproduced over the years. But when you talk about all these traumatic events that are going to happen to the earth physically, just with volcanoes and earthquakes, ground moving, the earth breaking up, they've confirmed multiple times the poles have shifted. The crust is shifting. This is the reason why it has to be a rescue, folks. And if you think that you going up in the mid or at the end, you are heavily mistaken, because I got the mid and the end right here for you. But it says it's a harvest. It's not a harvest of the church. They were already taken during the grace age. As soon as they left, that was judgment on the church. Grace age ended. Protection ended. Son of perdition has his full strength. He's looking to kill folk. And the son of perdition will be a so-called Jew, because those are the ones that's going to introduce him. And if the Jews are running around here talking about, and the same with the Muslims, that we're infidels and we got to be killed, because that's what they want to do now, but you can't do it because we're in the grace age. God ain't allowing that to happen. He ain't allowing them laws to take place. A lot of y'all going to be in serious trouble if y'all don't get your mind right about this harvest period. You're going to be down here to suffer all. And I don't know how you think you're going to make a mid. It don't exist anyway. Or at the end. Can y'all understand? Millions of people are getting ready to die on a daily basis. The word says it'll be the worst time ever. And we ain't in no worst time ever. We in the preview of it. Revelation 14 and 15. This is where y'all think it's a mid harvest, and it ain't no such thing. Another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest is ripe in the earth. Now people think, well, that's the rapture. That's the rapture. No, it ain't. This whole verse right here, when you get to the end of the verse, it tells you what this harvest is about. Okay? Look in 16. And he said to the one that sat on the cloud, and we just went over that, the harvest is ripe, it's ready to reap. But when you keep reading, it tells you who is harvested. Okay? Another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, also having a harp of sickle, a sharp sickle. Okay, that's the harvest blade. You know, everybody, you're a farmer, you seen that thing. Okay, every week, that's what you whack with. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the cluster of the vine of the earth and her grapes, because they are fully ripe. Let's keep reading. And the angel thrust his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great wine press of the wrath of God. Where does that sound like a rapture to you? How you think that that's a rapture? Where you get that from? Yes, there's a harvest. There's a harvest of the church, and then there's a harvest of the tares, folks. There's a time for everything. Their time, just as it is in Matthew 13 and 40, this correlates with that. This is what we're talking about. People want to say there's a mid-rapture. Ain't no such thing. This is the verse that they think is a mid-rapture. 14 is the chapter. But again, since y'all say we like to cherry pick, I'm a pick your cherry and smash it. This is what y'all do. So when you don't get an understanding, it's because you're only reading half. Keep going. And the wine press was trodden without the city, meaning the wine press, this event was outside of the city. And blood came out the wine press, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Verse 4, chapter 14. This is not a rapture, folks. It's a harvest of the wicked. Okay? It's a harvest of the wicked. Now, let's get to I mean, you can go through and read the whole thing if you want, but because we're going to not believe in the time, I'm getting right to the goods, to where they say this is a rapture. Well, what about him and when he's seen with the 100? Nobody gets saved. If you read that chapter when Jesus appears, nobody gets saved. He comes down with the 144,000 during the time of trib to preach, but ain't nobody listening. Nobody gets saved when he appears with them. They think it's something else. Of course, with all of the garbage that they got going on with space intelligence and satellites and blue beam and everything else, they gonna be so dumbed down, they not gonna know that that's Christ. Because the enemy gonna be throwing tricks at them, and they already gonna be wore out from that. That's why they don't get saved. That's why nobody gets saved after you see the church and 144,000 in heaven in chapter 7 in Revelation chapter 7. Nobody else is going up after that, folks. Nobody. Revelation 14, and you get down here to the end of it, it tells you that this harvest is for the wicked. Let's go back. Now, we put the word harvest back in here again. Okay? So we're not in the Old Testament. We talking about, because the Old Testament, when you're talking about harvest, it's talking about agriculture and farming, but then the typology is the same way spiritually. You plant, you water, you cultivate, it grows, you nourish it while it's growing, and then at the time of harvest, you take the good. Whatever's left and that's bad, that's what gets burned up, the same way you do in your own backyard. It ain't hard. Now, let's get back to New Testament. We put in the word harvest. Okay? Matthew 9:37. Then he said unto the disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. I've covered that many times. Okay? Jesus is saying in Matthew chapter 9 that we are the harvest, but nobody's out doing anything to cultivate the harvest. Then you have the harvest show up in Matthew 13:30. Again, that's talking about the time of separation. There was a time of separation between the 10 brides. 5 smart went with the bridegroom. The 5 dumb were left in the world. Literally. And by the time they realized it, it was too late. It had already happened. That is the same scenario that it will be this time around. By the time y'all get right and get it together and learn, oh, wow, it's going to be too late. The door is already shut. The 5 have already went forward into the kingdom with the bridegroom. Matthew 13:39, the enemy that sold them in is the devil. The harvest is at the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Again, this is just like works. You don't do no deep studying, no scuba diving. You only see, we're not saved by works, but you don't see later on down in verse 10 and 11, it says good works is how you're saved. This is how you were created by Christ. Same thing here. People read this one verse, that's the heart rapture at the end of the world. No, it's not. I just proved it to you. That's why the word says we must study. Not take cliff notes and cheat pages from folks. You're not studying that way. You're not getting edified. And then you take that on as your 100% foundation. And then guess what happened to you? Just like that lady I posted. She did believe in the harvest. She put the harvest down and picked up tarot cards. Picked up witchcraft. So don't tell me that you can't lose it. When people have openly admitted to being a Christian and then dropped it because they picked up some new foundational belief. And I proved that to you just with the chick that was talking crazy here a couple weeks ago. Because you got free will. You can pick it up. You can put it down. You pick that garbage up, put it down, and put it back in the can. Stop digging and stop eating out of the garbage can. Somebody trying to feed you some righteous meat and you want to turn it down because you in love with the garbage can food. Nevertheless, should we be accepting garbage? Then I go in here with knife and fork and cut up and dissect your little phony narrative about what's happening in the mid and the end. It don't say nothing like that. Reading is fundamental, folks. Read. Stop half reading. John 4:35. Say not ye that are yet 4 months, and then the harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. Talking about the wheat. You look this up agriculturally in Israel and Jerusalem. You look up their harvest season. Just look up wheat, period. There's harvests throughout. There's no harvest in the winter and the dead season because there's nothing growing. It's dead. Spring, summer, fall harvest. Okay? This is Bible. I ain't talking about Jacob's feast dates. Y'all love quoting them, and it ain't got nothing to do with Jacob. Nothing. That's why none of them, I'm going to say it again, none of them garbage, rapture, calendar guide videos have ever produced anything, and yet folks still over there on them channels looking at that garbage. Getting your hopes up for nothing because they're using the wrong tools to study with, and then y'all running around here for years, y'all looking at them jokers, and then they turn you. Oh, ain't no rapture. I've been following these people for years, and they kept saying, that's because you're not studying on your own. Stop listening to them jokers. Get in touch with the Holy Ghost. But if you don't want to do that, and you want everybody to spoon feed you garbage, you're going to put out garbage. It's incredible to me why people don't want to submit. Your submission to what Christ said he would do for us is eternal life. But your denial of it is eternal damnation. And hey, if that's what you think is popping, go right on ahead and believe it. But I'm trying to help y'all to get out of that spiritual suicidal mindset. Yes, there's a harvest at the end of the world, but it ain't for the church. It's for the sinners and the unjust. Revelation 19, and I'm off, and then I'm gonna stop this video. Let's go to Revelation 19. I can cover this many times. 19 and 11 is 30. Who comes back? Christ comes back. Is he coming on a cloud? No. Does it say he's coming back to take his people? No. It says, I saw heaven open up, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. He ain't coming back to take people. He's coming back to finalize it. Okay? That's why it's chapter 19. 9 is the number of finality. He's not riding on a cloud, folks. The cloud is used to hide his glory so that it doesn't kill us. Just as it was told to Moses, I can't show you my glory. I must hide you in the cliff of the rock, and you can watch my back parts. So when the word says cloud, the cloud is a gesture of love, because God knows, Jesus knows, that their purity can kill us, because we have not been given our new garments yet. We cannot drink that wine yet until we've been given our newness. Period. Verse 14, we come back with him. The armies which were in heaven followed upon white horses. We follow him, clothed in fine white linen, fine and clean. That's when we got our robes as we were going up. We had a 180-day celebration, just as it was in Esther, 180 days. And then after the 180 days expired, there was a 7-day feast. Same as it is here now. 6 months, we won't, hey, it's going to be beautiful. In 7 years, there's going to be a feast of the Lamb, the bride and the bridegroom. And then once that's over with, then we come back down in Revelation 19, 14. He comes first. We trail behind him in verse 14. Ain't nobody going up at the end. Everything comes down. New Jerusalem comes down. The big city of gold comes down. The sun is gone. The moon is gone, because we won't have a need for that. Jesus will be the light thereof. It will never be dark. No more nighttime. It's so easy to believe that, but if your glass is half empty and not half full, you won't believe that. And you're going to have a terrible time on your hands. I pray that you come up out of that foolishness, folks. The warnings are going off everywhere, not just on my channels, everybody. We're warning. Come up out of that dumb logic. Come up out of that 50c3 crap. That's what's wrong with folks today, is 501c3. If that garbage never existed and the true word of Yah was going out the way it should be, everybody would be on fire for God. And the harpazo probably would have happened already. But because we got a lot of zombies walking around with living tissue on their bones and they look alive, but they really dead on the inside, sheesh. Get it together for y'all. Peace.